everyone, welcome to Here We Are, Brattleboro's Community Talk Show. I'm Wendy O'Connell, and today on our show we have Tammy McNamara. Tammy is a veterinarian. She lives with her family in East Dummerston, and they have many pets, which include 3 rescue horses, a mini donkey, and a German Shepherd. She's also a local organizer for Sister District, which is a national grassroots political organization. She's going to be talking about all these things with us today. Welcome, Tammy.
Thank you.
It's good to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
You actually went to an agricultural high school, which is something I've never heard about. What's it like?
So I went to an agricultural high school, which was a public school in Massachusetts, and we had all of the regular coursework that you would have in a normal high school, but in addition, the school was a working farm, and so we had dairy cattle, beef cattle, sheep, horses, and got to do education in all of those areas as well in addition.
That must have been a huge curriculum, though, to fit all those things in. What did you wear to school every day? You couldn't wear a dress, right?
There was a lot of coveralls. There was a lot of coveralls and work boots going on, for sure.
Yeah. When you were there, did you already have a kinship to animals? Is that why?
Yeah, from a very young age, and my mom nurtured that for sure. We grew up with a lot of animals, and I knew I was drawn to them and knew that my future would likely hold something with animals.
And was there any animal in particular that you were really drawn to?
Definitely. As a young girl, I was kind of obsessed with horses.
You were. And has that carried through? Have you kept that connection?
Yeah, we still have horses.
Yeah, that's right.
We still have them, love them.
And you take care of them as well in the clinic, is that right?
Yep, the clinic that I work at, we do take care of a variety of small animals as well as horses. I personally don't take care of them anymore. I did for about 10 years, and now I work exclusively on small animals.
Was that a big transition for you?
It was. It was definitely, there's parts of it I miss for sure, but it made life a little bit simpler with the kids to get them to and from school and things like that.
Yes, instead of having to go out and do a house call. You'd have to do a house call with horses, right?
Absolutely. Yep, some of them come in to the practice. We do have a little barn there, but the majority of them you go out and work on the farm with them.
Was it really challenging working on an animal that size?
In some ways, absolutely. You know, but I grew up with them and very comfortable around them, and for the most part, I get along with them pretty well.
Then you went on to college, and you went to a school in the Pacific Northwest, which is a big change in terms of climate and location. Yeah, I did my undergrad actually at UMass Amherst, and then for veterinary school, I moved to the West Coast and spent 2 years in Oregon and 2 years in Washington. So that was a full 4 years in addition to doing your BA?
That's correct, yeah. I got a 4-year Bachelor of Science and then 4 years of veterinary school.
Yes. And so when you were out in the Pacific Northwest, did you like it out there?
I did. Yeah? I did, but I came back.
You did?
Yeah. After I graduated from school, my first job was actually the job I still have in Vermont. So I moved back here.
You know, I was just thinking, you know, to study 4 years of study of animals, you're studying all kinds of different animals. So you have to know the anatomies and all of the physiology of each individual animal, right?
Yep.
That's an incredible course of study, I would think.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's definitely a lot to learn.
Did you like studying?
Very much. Oh. Yeah, I think that was an important piece of it. When I talk to kids about becoming a veterinarian, I make sure to tell them, you know, I hope you like school because it's a lot of schooling, and it continues even after you graduate. We still do school, still do continuing education coursework as part of the degree. Yeah. And
also in your clinic, you do rescue animals. Is that right?
We do wildlife.
Wildlife. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. So one of my partners at work has an interest in wildlife, and so we get to work with and see a variety of those animals, like birds of prey, hawks, owls, eagle. We even had a bald eagle once.
Did you really?
Which was pretty neat. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And do you mostly get injured animals?
Correct.
Like people will call you on the phone, or they'll find something in the wild?
Yep.
And then do you have a separate place for them there?
No, I mean, they utilize the same hospital as our pet animals as well.
And you've run into Fred Homer over the years
as
a rescue guy.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
He's an amazing person.
He is an amazing person. Yeah, I want to get him on the show because he is also, not that he would ever admit it, but he's an amazing storyteller.
I bet he is.
Yes, and writer.
I bet he is.
Yeah, yeah. And
I've heard some of his stories.
Yes, he has some great ones to tell. So having two little kids, what are their ages again? 4 and
4 and 7.
4 and 7. Is it cool for mom to be a vet?
It is, and I feel like that's a nice balance because they also have the downside of mom being a vet, which is I can't make it to all of their school events, and I can't always, I have to go out on calls for holidays, weekends, things like that, and so, that's the, oh, bummer, mom's a vet. So it's nice that they also have the upside of mom's a vet,
yes,
and they get to see, they get to help bottle raise kittens, and they get to come and see wildlife that most kids don't get to see up close.
Really up close.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. And so my oldest daughter got to help come in and feed one of our injured barred owls, and they eat mice. And so that was really cool for her. And one of the vets that I work with called me and said, "We're going to release that owl. Do you think the kids would want to come and see?" And of course they did. And so we went out, and she was able to actually release the owl.
Wow.
And what a remarkable experience. And I like to think that makes up for some of the downside of having mom as a vet, is that they get to do cool things like that.
That's incredibly cool. So she had the owl actually on her arm?
She did, yeah. She put on the big glove, and she got to hold it on her arm and release it, and it flew away. And of course I brought my camera, so
oh, good.
We got to look at that over and over. And
all of that, yeah. That's
remarkable.
I imagine that's memorable. That is totally memorable.
It really was.
Yeah, so they're very comfortable around animals of all kinds.
They are.
Yeah.
They are, yeah. And we have a lot of animals at home, so they get to, take care of them and be exposed to them, but also they do sometimes get to come into work and meet other types of animals.
We were talking about veterinary school, and you mentioned that 85% of people in vet school are women.
I'm not positive. I know when I was in school, our class was about 85% women. I think it's like 75, in that range, of incoming classes are predominantly women, which is a big shift from historically.
It sure is.
The profession was all men, and so that's a big dynamic shift for sure for the profession.
You have a theory on that?
Some
thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of theories on that, and I think some of it is, it is a very nurturing and caring profession, and I think, for me anyways, that fit well in what I wanted to do. Some of it, I think, is reducing barriers for women to come into the profession, because they used to not be able to, and so I think that's a piece of it as well.
Yes, and also I would think for you, the balance of work and home and kids. It must have been different when you got kids, when you had kids.
Yeah, that was definitely an adjustment for sure. And I'm very fortunate in that I work in a practice with, we have, I think, 7 other veterinarians, and so we're able to kind of shift things as needed.
Oh, that's good.
It can be more flexible.
Yeah. Looking back, when I was a kid, we didn't have that many veterinarians, and a lot of them were farm vets, so they were used to doing big animals. And they would take in a cat once in a while just because they were nice and we were local, but it was not a big part of their business. And it seems now that pets are much more prevalent than they were.
Yeah,
and
well, they're part of the family.
Yeah.
Now is part of it, is they're part of the family, and so people are seeking different levels of health care for them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much so. I know. I was shocked that there's a whole level of tooth care, right? Dental care.
Yes. Yep. I do a lot of that.
Do you?
I do. Yep.
Do you think does that have anything to do with diet? Do you think changing diets for pets?
I don't think so. I think it has more to do with awareness of now we're actually getting in there and looking in their mouths and finding dental disease. And pets are living longer as well, so they have more opportunity to develop dental disease.
Do you think that they're living longer because of nutrition?
Nutrition, healthcare.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're part of the family now, and so they're getting an increased level of care.
In addition to raising 2 kids and having your family and all your pets at home and a full-time job, you're also engaged with Sister District. which is an organization that I've only heard about in the last year or so, and I think a lot of people don't know about. So could you first give us just sort of an overview of what Sister District does?
Sure. So Sister District is a national organization that was formed by 4 women after the 2016 election, with the goal of putting together local groups of volunteers who wanted to work together in order to help turn state legislatures blue in areas that are narrowly red or narrowly blue, with the goal of creating fair districting over time, and also improving voter turnout and participation in the election process. And they tend to focus on more state races, while a number of other organizations focus on more national races.
And one thing I did want to mention is that this is not just a women's organization.
That's correct.
Yes.
Despite the name.
Yes.
It was started by 4 women, but absolutely everyone is welcome, and we absolutely do have men, volunteering with us.
It's called Sister District because is it that you're paired up with another state?
Yeah, so what they do is they have volunteers who form local groups, and then those groups provide support to other districts in other areas that need support for their state elections. And so we have a local group in southern Vermont that I help coordinate with some other really awesome women. And we have a little group that we are assigned races in other states that we then provide support for, whether that be fundraising or campaigning for candidates.
And vice versa, obviously. And so you're working with Virginia, is that it?
Correct.
Yes, and so you and Virginia sort of form an alliance, or certainly communication.
Yeah. So we basically, and Sister District is kind of the liaison for this. They help. They have a whole research team that picks which elections, can utilize this resource, and then we work with them to provide the support that's requested, by those campaigns. And so we kind of form a little relationship with those campaigns.
When you're sistered up with another state,
Sure,
how do you communicate in terms of what needs to be done and how you're going to do it?
So Sister District handles most of that. They kind of direct us because there's multiple teams working. So we have a bunch of other teams that are working on the same races as us. And so for efficiency, Sister District kind of gets the requests and then translates them to us. But we also have been able to, directly communicate with some of our candidates that we're supporting, whether it's through video chat or one of my co-volunteers actually went down to Virginia and met one of our candidates and helped out there. So it's definitely a building connection type of experience.
They have a great website actually for people in the audience. You just type in Sister District and it will take you there, and it gives you lots of information about, definitely about the different races that are being run and the candidates and that kind of information. But what I think is so interesting is that you are in communication with a completely different state and making connections with individuals as well. So it's a different kind of networking.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
And you're enjoying it?
Very much.
I think you mentioned voter turnout, but that's a big part of what you're doing as well.
It is, yeah. So Sister District has an entire action network and research arm where they are trying to figure out how do we increase voter turnout, and so they set up these experiments, if you will, where we send postcards to this group of voters at this point before the election, or this group of voters, at that point, and then they compare statistics to kind of see if this is effective. Yeah. And so not only are we, trying to increase voter turnout, they are also collecting data on how do we do that most effectively. Because we're all busy and we want to feel like what we're doing is making a difference. Right.
When you are fundraising here locally, you may be fundraising either locally or for Virginia. Is that correct?
That is correct.
And that kind of mandate comes out of the national organization.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And we don't handle any of the money at all. It all goes directly through Act Blue, to candidates or to the organization itself.
Is there any way of knowing what effect it had during the midterms this year?
Well, they had a lot of successes, with candidates for sure. What Sister District's contribution was to
Yes.
that, I think is hard to quantify.
Yeah,
But certainly, it feels like it's making a difference.
Yeah. And so you guys get together how often?
So our Sister District group, the organizing team, we get together probably every 2 months or so to kind of talk about where we're going and what we're doing next. But our group of volunteers overlaps a lot with another group called the Putney Huddle, and we meet once a month, occasionally taking months off, and kind of get together and work on this type of stuff for Sister District, but also talk more about local politics and things that are going on local to us as well.
Right, so you're branching out a little bit. So, and what is the Putney Huddle?
So the Putney Huddle is a group that formed after the Women's March, and another really great group of people that I met through this. And they meet, or we meet about once a month, and just one of the things that we work on is Sister District, and whatever they're working on, we bring to the group, and we do postcarding or talk about fundraising, that type of stuff. And then we have our local political candidates and representatives come in and give updates on what they're doing.
Oh, that's
and
terrific.
Yeah, and so kind of forming a local network as well, which is really important.
Yes, that's wonderful. So, so you're being kept abreast of what's happening up in Montpelier to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And it's and you're meeting mostly at the Putney Library?
That's correct.
Yes, that's a good space for that.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. What are you enjoying most about being involved with Sister District? It's kind of hard to say.
It is.
You wouldn't want to say it 3 times fast.
I would say the people that I've met. I've met a lot of people working through Sister District. I think Peg, the woman
Peg
that
Alden, yes.
who is one of the co-organizers. Her and I both signed up to help organize for Sister District, and we didn't know each other, and we live right down the road from each other, and we met through this. And now, I can't imagine not knowing her. And so definitely the people.
Yeah.
It's very nice to have a network of people that that we're working on a project together, and building community as well.
And the other thing that's interesting also, I think, is that you are of like minds, but I get the sense that you do have a broader aim, really, which part of it, is getting the vote out, but also a way to participate in our democracy.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That's like all of this, the Putney Huddle, Sister District, all of that. That's the goal, is to participate in democracy and enable other people to participate as best we can.
Yeah. How do you draw the community in?
So one of the really neat ways that we have, kind of built and drawn community together is we have a soup subscription project, and it's a fundraising project, but it's also been fantastic at kind of building community, in that we have a group of volunteers who cook soup, and then the soup goes to another group of people who are soup subscribers, and they donate money. All of these people are part of this project. That people are cooking soup, and people are eating soup and enjoying soup, and the soup that doesn't get picked up, or if people who are not very local choose to participate, they can donate their soup to the food shelf.
Nice.
So everybody's kind of playing a role in this, and we have a nice little community. And sometimes you'll meet somebody and they'll say, "Oh, I love that soup," and then you'll be like, "Well, I cooked that soup," and it's just great to kind of meet people that all are playing a role in this.
It's a great way to connect with people. It's really wonderful.
It is, and the food shelf has been very happy, to receive the soup.
Yes. So it's kind of a soup CSA, actually.
It kind of is. You subscribe for 4 months, and then you get to pick up delicious homemade soup once a month.
And where do people pick it up?
Right now, it's either picked up at the Putney General Store or at a home in Brattleboro. In its existence, the Soup Project has raised over $20,000.
Wow.
For Sister District candidates. So
in Putney, through this, that's incredible.
Our soup project.
Your soup project.
Yeah, and there are other groups that have taken this idea and run with it as well.
It's a wonderful idea.
It is. It was Peg's idea.
Well, it's very creative, but it's also very, in a community like ours, it's very doable as well. And we certainly have the CSA model already in place. So different districts are doing different things for fundraising.
That's correct.
Yeah, and are there others that you can think off the top of your head people are doing?
Yeah, so I mean, the kind of classic fundraisers are like, you know, a party or that type of stuff, or an auction, those types of things. And our group actually also has like a vacation rental auction program
Yeah, that's a good one.
that we do as well to raise funds. But Vermont, our little Southern Vermont group within the national organization is definitely known for our creativity and uniqueness.
Yeah.
You know, with the Suit project, and it's been a great way for people to just get involved. You know, a lot of people are like, but we want to do something, and here's something you can do.
There's something you can really do.
Yeah.
And it's really nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
You know, or chicken and broth. Or yeah. When you get together with Sister District participants, there are about 15 or 20 sort of regular people.
Yeah, I
that
would
come
say
together.
Yeah, we have about we have like over 400 people on our mailing list, like on our email list, and it's kind of, you know, some people they're plugged in different ways.
Yeah.
They're cooking soup, they're buying soup, or you know, or they're coming to these gatherings. And we have a number of different, you know, in addition to the Putney Huddle, there's postcard potlucks in Brattleboro. For a little while, we had a book club going on, and so there's a bunch of little gatherings. But I would say like the general, you know, like people that come together, probably 15 or 20 people, and then we'll have like a bigger gathering once or twice a year to kind of get everybody together and do like we had a little concert at Next Stage along with one of the vacation auctions that was really fun and well attended.
Yes, that's great.
Yeah.
Yes, people are getting very creative about fundraising in the Brattleboro area.
Yes,
right? There
absolutely.
are many fundraisers going on all the time. Has being involved with Sister District changed or influenced your relationship to politics?
Yes, for sure. I definitely was looking for ways to get more involved, and I feel like I've learned a lot and made some really good connections with people, and feel like I definitely feel more engaged.
Yeah. There were many things that sprung up after the 2016 election, including the Women's March, of course, and many things like that followed. And so there seems to be, for so many people, I think it was a real call to get involved. And so things like Sister District are, and I know that there are many more like that, but creating local community seems to really be at the heart of a lot of what's going on.
Absolutely.
Getting to know each other, right? Talking to people, even if you're not on the same side.
Absolutely.
Have you run into that much, talking to people who may not agree with you politically?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that's really important to learn how to talk across the divide that we face.
That's right.
And I think the more that you talk to people, the more you find out we have things in common. And I think focusing on that and building on that is where we can really start to bring people together.
Yes. You know, it was Tip O'Neill who said all politics is local. You know, and it's only been lately that I've really understood what that is saying.
Yeah.
And it's really true.
It is very true.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
So for you to have the reps from Montpelier coming down and talking to you, you really get
It's really great.
it's more direct link, right, to what's going on.
Absolutely.
And of course, we're lucky in Vermont because it's a small state.
We're very lucky, yeah.
But at the same time, you know, for this to be sort of a template for other people to follow. Yeah. Sister District is sort of election focused.
That's correct.
Right? So the next couple of years can be pretty interesting.
Absolutely.
Are there plans afoot?
Yeah, so right now we're working on, our group is working on 2 House of Representative races in Virginia because of redistricting, because the census is coming up.
Yes,
and
right.
some of the states have the state legislatures that are in charge of redrawing those districts after the census. And so working towards fairness basically in those state legislatures is really important, so that when those districts get redrawn, the people that live there will have accurate representation. And so that's the focus right now, is states where the legislature controls redistricting. And so that's a big focus for 2018 and 2020 for sure.
Yeah. So when you're watching the news and you see what's happening in Virginia, you have a real feel for it. You have a connection.
I do.
What a cool thing.
I do. Yeah, because it affects all of us.
Yes.
It really does.
Yeah, it does. But we didn't know that before.
Well, some people did. Some people did for sure.
But it's just interesting to have something that people are really participating in and engaged in,
Yeah.
and to realize what a difference it makes. Yeah, I think we're not going to know for a while, but just the fact that this is happening, I think, is such a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, I do as well.
Yeah.
A lot of times when I watch the news, I start to feel kind of helpless, and so having something to do gives me hope again, for sure.
Do you watch the news now? More?
Limited. I limit my news. Yes.
Yeah, you take your measure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. For a minute, going back to your life as a vet, you've been doing this for how many years now? 20? Not quite 20.
Nope.
No.
Oh my gosh, I've been doing this for 15 years.
15 years. That's a good amount of time.
Yep.
And you still enjoy going in every day?
I do.
Yeah.
I do, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's never boring.
I bet it's never. Well, that's the
Yep.
thing. You never know what's going to come in the door, right?
Right.
And have there been moments? Do you panic ever?
Only on the inside. No. Yes. I mean, I think we all do. We're
Yeah.
human, but yeah, I feel like there's a level of excitement, in having new things come every day, and it keeps you learning and keeps you engaged, and so that's really fulfilling. And then also I get to meet all sorts of fantastic people, and their pets as well. So that's always fulfilling.
Yeah, and you have people coming in, bringing a part of their family that they really care about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
I would think compassion and empathy would be a really big part of what you do. Yeah. Does it get
Definitely.
hard?
Absolutely.
Does it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's definitely times when you can feel people's sadness, and it can be frustrating sometimes as well. But I think for the most part, it's a really fantastic career.
Yeah. And it sounds like you've got a great team that you're working
We
with
do,
as
and
well.
that makes a huge difference. I have amazing colleagues that I work with, and a great team at work as well, and so they definitely make it what it is.
Yeah, and I think having practitioners of different ages too.
Yep, we have a
makes a
huge
difference.
variety at our work, and everybody has their own interests too, and that definitely helps. And within the practice, everybody can kind of we all do a wide range of things, but we can also kind of pick what we like.
Yes, all the different animals that walk through that door, or
Yeah, or slither.
right. That's right.
Yep.
Do you get many reptiles?
We do have some. One of my colleagues does see them. I prefer I prefer things with fur.
You do.
Yes. Yep.
This has been great. What a great thing. What a great combination of a little politics and a little veterinary science.
Yep.
And
That's life.
yeah, and living in Vermont.
Yep.
Yeah, it's great. Thank you so much, Tammy, for
Thanks for
coming
having
on.
me.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
It's fun to have you on. Here's some of those stories. I'll remember that owl story.
I know. That was really fantastic.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
all remember that for a while.
Yeah. Thanks to all of you for tuning in today. Some good stories again. And we will be here again next week. So set your dial or go on our site. The BCTV site has all of our shows. The show that is up and running will be right there, and below that is a scroll of all of the shows that we've done, so you can just sort of scroll through and see who you'd like to take a look at, and just check out that link. Thank you so much. See you next week.